Good morning, everyone. Today, here we go for the anatomy of the eye. Okay. The here I will put the one picture, that is the picture of eagle and eagle eyes. Okay. The eagle eye is among the strongest in the animal kingdom with an eyesight. They estimated that 4 to 8 times stronger than that of the average human beings. Okay. The eagle eyesight is 4 to 8 times stronger than the human eyesight. Okay. The eagle is said to be able to spot a rabbit from a 4 kilometer away. Okay. The eagle may weight is 4 to 5 kg or 5 kg up to 5 kg. Its eye are roughly the same size as those of the human beings. But the eagle is attacks a prey from a, or it is maintain the eagle descends from the sky to attack its prey. The muscles in the eye continuously adjust the curvature of the eyeball to maintain the sharp focus and accurate preparation throughout the approach and attack. Okay. And it is, you say that eagle eyes very stronger eyes in the animal kingdom, but they are not used in the night. But owl, the same like this, owl eyes are very strong at the night compared to other animals. Owl eyes, okay, and eagle eyes in the daytime. Okay, can go for the next slide. Today we discuss about the anatomy of the eye. Okay, introduction. The eye is a specialized sense organ that help us to understand our environment. It is a sensory unit composed of three parts: receptor, sensory pathway, and a brain center. Okay, in the receptor you can say as a eye, first eye, then optic nerve, then optic nerve to they unite the both right and left optic nerves and crosses the, that is optic chiasma, then optic tract, then optic chiasma, then from the optic chiasma to opposite side the tract or it is then optic tract, then lateral geniculate nucleus, then optic radiations are occur, then primary visual cortex. Okay, like that the tract or sensory pathway is pass, and the brain center there we visualize the or identify the what is the picture is there, like that it is formed. Okay, in it is briefly I will explain. Okay, and I go for the briefly the anatomy of the eye, because on this eye one in our medical in medical term, not a medical term, you can say as a depend on eye, on the branches of eye there is one branch is developed, that branch is say as a ophthalmology. Okay, in the one branch is there that is only considered to as a the condition or disease related to the eye. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Okay, it is a spherical in shape and it is about 2.5 centimeter in diameter and situated in the orbital cavity. The orbital cavity or orbit is the cavity or socket of the skull in which the eye and its appendages are situated, and orbit can refer to a bony socket. Okay, and it is mainly made by the 4 to 5 junction of the skull bones. Okay, here the accessory organ and eye protection. Okay, eye is situated in the orbital cavity or bony socket. You can see here, this is the orbital cavity. Okay, this is the orbital cavity and it is a house and do the house and protection to the eye. Okay, this orbital cavity is mainly made by the frontal bone, ethmoidal bone, nasal bone, lacrimal bone, maxillary bone, zygomatic bone, sphenoid bone, and palatine bone. By this junction of these bones, what happen? This orbit will form. Okay, here this is a frontal bone like this. Okay, and this is a zygomatic bone. Okay, and this is a maxillary bone. This is a maxillary bone, and this is a lacrimal bone. Okay, and this is a ethmoidal bone. Okay, and this is a sphenoid bone. This is a sphenoid bone. This is ethmoidal, lacrimal, maxillary, zygomatic, and frontal. Okay, the orbital cavity is formed by the frontal bone, ethmoidal bone, nasal bone, lacrimal bone, maxillary bone, zygomatic bone, sphenoid bone, and palatine bone. Okay, by this what happen? The zygomatic orbital. This is a palatine bone. Okay, this is a palatine bone. Like this, what happen? What orbital cavity is formed, and this is a house and protection for the eye. Okay, the orbital cavity is the cavity of or socket of the skull in which the eye and its appendages are situated, and orbit can refer to as a bony socket. Okay, and it has another protection, that is the adipose tissue, means fat. They may form the cushions to the eye. Okay, these fats forms the cushion to the eyes. You can see here in this picture, this is a fat, this is a orbital cavity like this. Okay, this is also, it is a bony, and here you can see like this what cushions or what fat is formed. You can see here in this picture also. Okay, this like this is fat. This is forms or makes the cushions for the eye. Okay, you can see here how it is arranged. Okay, and this is the orbital cavity or socket. Okay, or orbital cavity. This is a frontal bone, and this is a maxillary bone. Okay, can go for the next slide. The external anatomy of the eye. In external anatomy of eye, it consists the some pictures. Okay, one is eyebrows, eyelashes, then eyelids, pupil, iris, conjunctiva or palpable conjunctiva. Okay, and then medial canthus or medial commissure. Okay, and lateral commissure. Then lacrimal, caroniculi. These are the some textures. Okay, canthus or commissure. It is a say as a canthus is a either corner of the eye where the eyelids are meet. Canthus means where the either corners of the eye where the eyelids are meet. You can see here these are the both the eyelids. Okay, here it is meet. Okay, the angle formed by the meeting the upper and lower eyelids at the either side of the eye. Okay, that angle is say as a canthus or commissure. Okay, one thing, the commissure means it is the line where upper and lower lips or eyelids are meet. Okay, you can say here commissure means where the line, this line, commissure word meaning is it is a line where the upper and lower lips are meet. This is upper lip and this is lower lip, and here they meet. Okay, this meeting junction is say as a commissure. In word commissure meaning in the Latin join or junction. Okay, here it has eye has the two commissures. One is medial commissure, another one is lateral commissure. The medial commissure or medial palpebral commissure or canthus is the corner of the eye where the upper and lower eyelids are meet. Okay, it is a medial commissure or medial palpebral commissure or canthus is a corner of the eye where the upper and lower eyelids are meet. Okay, and lateral commissure or external canthus, it is also say as a internal canthus, and this is a external canthus. Okay, is a more acute. This is also where the upper and lower eyelids are meet. That junction is as a lateral, and it is outer side or external side. Okay, and this lateral commissure is more acute than the medial, and the eyelids here is lies in close contact with the bulb of the eye. You can see here the eyelids are closely contact with the bulb of the eyes. Okay, these are the commissures or canthus: medial canthus, lateral canthus, or medial commissure or lateral commissure, external canthus or medial canthus. Okay, now it is a this is a iris. You can see this is a iris. Iris means it is a color part of the eye. Okay, it is iris is color part of the eye, and this color part of eye, it does the controls the light entering. Okay, this color part of eye is controls the entering of the eye. And in short, in camera how diaphragm is there, how in camera diaphragm is work, the same way this iris also, this is iris is a diaphragm of the eye. In camera the diaphragm is controls the size or what is the apparatus, and what is the hole is there. Okay, that hole is say as a pupil. Okay, it is a hole in iris where light enters, and pupil size is controlled by the iris muscles. This is a pupil, this is a hole of the iris, and this size is controlled by this iris. And these iris are located between the lens and cornea, and it is say as it is a thin circular diaphragm which located between the lens and cornea. This is the iris. Okay, and conjunctiva, this is a conjunctiva. Here you can see is a conjunctiva. Okay, that name only denotes conjoint. Okay, conjoin. Okay, conjoin means to join. Okay, it is a conjunctiva, it is a mucous membrane, it joins the eyeball to the eyelids. Okay, it is bulbar conjunctiva or papillary conjunctiva or orbital conjunctiva, like that. Different marginal or what you can say, like that. Different types are there. You can go for the next slides. Okay, this is about the, and these are the eyebrows. Okay, and this is the eyelids, it has the two eyelids. Okay, in that what happen, eyelashes. Okay, the upper eyelashes houses, it is 90 to 150 upward. Okay, the houses 90 to 115 upward eyelid. Okay, and these are directed upwards and curving and longer eyelashes, while the lower eyelashes, it houses about 70 to 80. Okay, in the lower eyelids. In upper is 90 to 150, but in lower it is 7 to 80, and these eyelashes are shorter as compared to the upper eyelashes, and these are directed towards the downwards, but in the upper they are directed towards the upwards and they are curving. Okay, another one thing, the root of the each eyelashes, okay, are encouraged to the root hair plexus. Okay, and this root hair plexus, which tells the brain to blink instantly. That's why these eyelashes are protective in receptors. Okay, this main function of this eyelashes is protection from the foreign bodies and direct rays from the sun. And these are eyelashes are short stiff hairs. Okay, these eyelashes are short stiff hairs, and main function is protect the eyeball from the foreign bodies and direct the rays of the protect the eye from the rays from the sun, or direct rays from the sun. Okay, this is about the what external features of the eye. You can go for the next slide. Okay, in the eye anatomy, you can divide it as a three parts, mainly three parts. One is accessory structures, eyeball structures, and interior of the eyeball structures. Okay. In accessory structures, it contains these following structures. One is eyelids, eyelashes, eyebrows, lacrimal apparatus, conjunctiva, tear film, and extraocular muscles. These are all structures come under the accessory structures of the eyelids. Of the eye. Okay. In that mainly accessory structure, we can divide the accessory structure, eyeball, and internal eye structures. Like that, you can make the three types. In that accessory structure, these things will come. Okay, eyelids, eyelashes, eyebrows, lacrimal apparatus, conjunctiva, tear film, and extraocular muscle. You can go for the first one, eyelids. Okay, the eyelids, it is a movable thin skin fold covering the eye. They play a role in the protection of the eye from the injury by the rapid closure. The eyelids includes the tarsal glands that secrete oily material for lubrication and prevents the evaporation of the tear. Okay, you can see here, these are the eyelids. Okay, here you can get in the eyelids. These are meibomian glands, tarsal plate, like this structures will there. Okay, here the eyelashes are formed. Okay, like this eyelashes are formed. Okay, now eyelashes. Eyelashes are short, stiffer hairs, protects the eyeball from the foreign objectives, perceptions, and direct rays from the sun. Eyelashes are secretes the oil that prevent the lids from sticking together. Okay, now we can go for the lacrimal gland or lacrime or tears. Okay, the lacrimal glands are paired. Okay, they are we include both this eyes, then they are paired, and these are almond shaped. Okay, these lacrimal glands are almond shaped, and these are exocrine gland, and these are present both the eyes, one for each eye. Okay, lacrimal gland are paired, almond shaped, exocrine gland, one for the each eye. You can see here, this is a lacrimal gland. Okay, and it is situated in the lacrimal fossa. Okay, these lacrimal glands are situated in the upper lateral region of each orbit in the lacrimal fossa of the orbit formed by the frontal bone. The lacrimal gland produce the tear which then flow into the canal that connects to the lacrimal sac. Okay, and that from the lacrimal sac to the tear drained through the lacrimal duct into the nose. Okay, like that. These are the lacrimal ducts that produce the tears that drain into the canals to the sac to the nasolacrimal duct. Like that, this lacrimal gland is forms the tear, and this function of the tear is it is protects from the infections, and it forms the lubrication to the conjunctiva, and it lubrication by this what happens, it reduces the friction between the eyelids and eyeball, and it protects the eye from the drying the eye. Okay, the lacrimal gland that secretes the tears. Okay, it also the tears gland, also you can say as a tears gland. Also it secretes the tears. The tears contain the salts and bacterial enzymes, lysozyme, to wash out the foreign particles and chemical irritants. They lubricate the conjunctiva, which reduces the friction between the eyelids and eyeball, and prevents the eye from the drying out, and that tears film allowing the atmospheric oxygen to dissolve and diffuse into the cornea. Okay, can go for the next slide. Like this, it is a what flow of the tears was happen. Okay, you can see here, this is a lacrimal duct. From that, a excretory duct of lacrimal glands. See, this is a lacrimal duct. From that, it has the this is a lacrimal gland. From that, you can see the accessory duct of the lacrimal duct, and here you can see the punctum, lacrimal punctum, upper and lower. From that, it is a lacrimal canal. From lacrimal canal, this is a sac-like structure. This is a lacrimal sac, and this is a lacrimal nasolacrimal duct. Okay, and that's to the interior meatus of nasal cavity. Like that, tears will what happen, and the flow of the tear is happen. First, tears are formed in the lacrimal gland duct, then lacrimal gland to lacrimal duct, and then from superior and inferior lacrimal canal to the lacrimal sac to the nasolacrimal duct to the nasal cavity. Okay, you can see in when you cry, okay, some of tears run down to your face. Okay, but some of them drain from the lacrimal sac up near your eyes and down to the nasolacrimal ducts in the interior meatus, and tears mix with the mucus. Okay, and that to your sinuses, and that from sinuses to the produce the running nose. You can see anywhere you can cry, that time there is a running nose is there because of this. Okay, because of congestion or running of these tears during crying. Okay, most of are suffering from the running nose because of the some are come from the come to the face, and remaining all come to the by the this apparatus. Okay, or by the this flow. Okay, lacrimal gland to the excretory duct of the lacrimal duct to the lacrimal punctum, punctum to the canal to the sac to the nasolacrimal duct to the interior meatus of the nasal cavity. Here it is mixed with the mucous membrane and forms the running nose. Whenever you can cry, that time there is some people suffer from the running nose because of that this lacrimal apparatus. Can go for the next slide. Okay, now can go for the conjunctiva. Okay, conjunctiva, I already told, conjunctiva name only denotes conjoin, means to join. Okay, this conjunctiva, it is a mucous membrane. It joins the eyeball to the eyelids. Okay, and this is a conjunctiva. This is a thin transparent mucous membrane lying in the posterior aspect of the eyelids and the anterior aspect of the eyeball. Okay, this conjunctiva is a thin mucous membrane. It covers the eyelids posteriorly and anteriorly eyeball. Okay, you can see here in this picture. Okay, clearly. Okay, these are fun types of the eyelids. Conjunctiva is there. Okay, this is a eyeball. Okay, and these are the eyelids. This is the upper eyelid and this is the lower eyelid. Okay, what you can see, this is the mucous membrane, thin mucous membrane that covers the can say as a eyelids posteriorly and anteriorly by the eyeball. Okay, you can see here, this is the eyelid. It is covers the posteriorly eyelid. See here eyelid. Okay, then anteriorly you can see this is the anteriorly eyeball. Okay, like that. What are the part, which part is covers the eyelid? This part you can say as a palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, palpebral conjunctiva, and where the eyelids and eyeball are joined together. Okay, that is called as a fornix. Okay, and that part of covering part of the conjunctiva, that is say as a conjunctival fornix. Okay, and bulbar, this is the bulbar part of the conjunctiva. Okay, there is it covers the sclera. Okay, and surface of the cornea. This is the covered by the surface of the cornea. Okay, this is bulbar conjunctiva and this is the surface of the cornea. Like that, this is the what conjunctiva is covers the what eyelids. Okay, can see here, this is palpebral conjunctiva, this is fornix conjunctiva, and this is a bulbar conjunctiva. Okay, then this what you can go for the next slide. In that I will show the types or everything of the conjunctiva. Okay, can see here, this is also, this is a eyeball. Okay, this is a eyeball and this is the eyelashes. Okay, this is the eyelashes like this. What is the, which part is covered? Mucous membrane cover the posterior to the eyelids, that is a palpebral conjunctiva. You can see here, this is a palpebral conjunctiva like this. You can see here, this is a palpebral conjunctiva. This is the fornix. Okay, where the eyelids and the eyeball are joined, that is the fornix. And this is a bulbar conjunctiva. This is the bulbar conjunctiva, and this is the part of the cornea. Okay, can go for the next slide. Can see here parts of the conjunctiva. In that, okay, this is a fornix where it is joined. Okay, and this is a bulbar conjunctiva. Some part is covered by the sclera. Okay, that part is say as a bulbar conjunctiva, and some part it is a junction between the cornea and sclera. In that surrounds the cornea, that this part is say as a limbus. Okay, this is called as a limbus, and this is also called limbal conjunctiva. And this is a palpebral conjunctiva. In that we can, this is a marginal conjunctiva from marginal side. This is a marginal conjunctiva, and this is a tarsal conjunctiva. Okay, like that you can divides the palpebral conjunctiva: marginal conjunctiva, tarsal conjunctiva, and orbital conjunctiva. Okay, orbital means this is a orbital cavity. Okay, it is like that, orbital cavity is there and it covers the orbital. This part is as a orbital conjunctiva, and here it is joints. Okay, orbital conjunctiva and bulbar conjunctiva, that some part is as a fornix conjunctiva. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Okay, these are the type of the conjunctiva. You can say as a mainly conjunctiva divided into three parts. One is palpebral conjunctiva, bulbar conjunctiva, and fornix conjunctiva. Palpebral, we can palpate easily. Okay, that is a palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, and tarsal conjunctiva. Or palpebral means which is behind the eyelids. Palpebral conjunctiva means which is the behind the eyelid. That conjunctiva is as a palpebral conjunctiva. Bulbar conjunctiva or ocular conjunctiva means which is covers the sclera. That part is as a what you can say as a bulbar conjunctiva. Fornix conjunctiva means where both the bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva joints, and that part is say as a palpebral conjunctiva. Another one thing, this cornea, it divide of, this is a cornea and this is a divide of conjunctiva. The cornea don't have the covering of the conjunctiva. Okay, and here where the cornea and sclera is joined, that border point is say as a limbus or limbal conjunctiva. Okay, limbus conjunctiva. Where the sclera and cornea join, or limbus, it is come from the Latin word. The limbus means border, the line between two things or border. Okay, and here limbus conjunctiva means it is a border between the what cornea and transparent cornea and opaque sclera. Okay, this is about limbus. Can go for the next slide. Okay, the palpable conjunctiva. Okay, the palpable means it is from Latin word palpebri, means an eyelid. It lies in the under surface of the eyelid. That conjunctiva say as a palpebral. Okay, and palpebral comes from the Latin word palpebri. Okay, and the bulbar. Bulbar means which coats the anterior portion of the sclera, except the cornea, because the conjunctiva it not covers the cornea. That is bulbar conjunctiva or white part of the eye. Okay, and fornix. Fornix means junction between the palpebral and bulbar conjunctiva. Okay, you can see here in this picture easily. Okay, like this. This is the what eyelids. Okay, and this is the mucosal thin transparent mucosal membrane, that is you can see as a what conjunctiva that covers the eyelids. This part is as a what palpebral, and where this part is as a fornix, and this part is as a bulbar, and where it covers the border point of the scleral and cornea, and this part is as a limbus. Okay, this is about the can see here also. This is a palpebral, fornix, and this is a bulbar conjunctiva. The palpebral conjunctiva further divides into marginal, tarsal, and orbital, and bulbar conjunctiva divides into what limbus and bulbar conjunctiva. Okay, the conjunctiva, which is mainly divided into palpebral, fornix, and bulbar. The marginal palpebral further divided into marginal, tarsal, and orbital, and bulbar it is scleral and limbal. You can see here this is a palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, and it covers the eyelid, firmly adherent to the eyelids, and it is highly vascular, extremely thin, and strongly bonded to the tarsal plate. Tarsal plate. And palpebral conjunctiva divided into marginal, tarsal, and orbital eyelids. Marginal means it is marginal to the eyelid. This is the marginal, and this is the tarsal, and this is the orbital. Okay, like this we can divides marginal, tarsal, and this is orbital. Then bulbar. Bulbar means it is covers the sclera. Okay, sclera, and that part of covered part of the scleral conjunctiva it is say as a bulbar conjunctiva. The covering the eyeball, thin, translucent, and loosely attached to the underlying sclera by tension capsule. And there is another one is space is there in between the sclera and conjunctiva. That space is as a episclera, and it contains the rich blood supply or blood vessels. Okay, and conjunctival limbus, it is 1 mm anterior to the corneal limbus. Okay, limbus means it is a borderline. In eye, Latin word limbus means in Latin word meaning it is a border or line. Okay, line between. Okay, between the two things. And limbus conjunctiva means it is the border between the cornea and sclera. This part you can say as a limbal. This part you can say as a limbal conjunctiva, and this is a bulbar conjunctiva, or you can say a scleral conjunctiva, white opaque. Okay, can go for the next slide. The bulbar conjunctiva divides into scleral and limbal conjunctiva. I already explained this picture. Limbus is a junction between the cornea and sclera, the surgical landmark for the cataract and glaucoma surgeries, and it is 2 mm wide. Okay, You can any go for the, if you cataract and glaucoma surgery, you can go for the incision to the this area only, okay, in this limbal area only, okay. And this is wide is 2 mm in wide from the corneal to the sclera, okay. Conjunctival fornix means it is where the bulbar conjunctiva and palpebral conjunctiva join, and that part is as a conjunctival fornix. And ducts of the lacrimal glands open into the lateral part of the superior fornix. Then eyeball structure. Eyeball structure is further divided into 3 parts. Fibrous tunic. This is give the fibrous tunic. It is gives the what you can say shape to the eyeball and protection, and it is this only gives the attachment to the muscles and movements of the eyeball. Okay, fibrous tunic, it gives the shape to the eyeball. Okay, vascular tunic and nervous tunic. Okay, like that eyeball structure is divided into 3 parts. One is fibrous tunic, vascular tunic, and nervous tunic. Or you can see here in this picture, you can easily the outermost layer of the eyeball. Okay, you can see here this is the outermost layer of the eyeball. You can say as a fibrous tunic, and middle, or you can say first you can go for innermost layer of the eyeball. You can say as a nervous tunic. Okay, in between the outer and inner, you can say the middle layer, you can say as a vascular tunic. The fibrous tunic is mainly made by the sclera and cornea. You can say this is a sclera. Okay, it is also covers the optic nerve. Okay, behind this one. Okay, and this vascular sclera or tunic, it is also covers the what you can say as a you can say as a optic nerve. Okay, like this. And innermost layer is say as a retina or nervous. Okay, like that you can say fibrous tunic, it contains the sclera, and this is a cornea. Which part is covers the what lens, that part is our anterior part is say as a cornea. Okay, and this is only cornea. It is a 1/6 part of the eyeball, outer 1/6 part of the cornea, and the remaining is 2/6 by the sclera. Okay, and this is a middle vascular tunic. It contains this is a iris. Okay, this is also circular musculature toward the lens. This is only controls the entry of the what you can say the light into the inner side, and it is iris is located between the lens and you can say as a cornea. Okay, and this is a work like a diaphragm. Okay, this is a work like a diaphragm, and it is attached to the ciliary body posteriorly. Okay, it is attached to the ciliary body or ciliary processes. Okay, and this is a pupil. Okay, the vascular part contain the iris, ciliary body, and choroid. And retina, you can say as a nervous layer. It is pigmented layer and neural layer. You can say as a, and it contain the blood supply, optic disc, or macula, fovea, like the structures. And it has the 2 chambers. One is vitreous chamber, another one is anterior or aqueous chamber. You can say as a vitreous chamber and aqueous chamber. It is divided by this lens. Okay, behind the lens it is a vitreous chamber, and front of the lens it is a aqueous chamber. You can go for the next slide. The wall of the eyelid is mainly divided into 3 parts: outer, middle, and inner. The outer, it is say as a tunica externa or tunica fibrosa. It is completely made by the fibrous. And middle layer is say as a tunica media or tunica vasculosa, because vasculosa it contains a more blood supply and vessels. And inner it is say as a tunica interna, tunica nervus. It is contain the sensory place. Okay, that is say as a tunica nervus or nerves. Okay, the outer layer it is mainly divided into cornea and sclera. Middle layer it is divided into choroid, ciliary body and iris. And inner is to say as a retina. Okay, like that we can say as a, we can divide eyeball. Then we can go for the sclera. Sclera you can say as a white part of the eyeball. Okay, you can say it is outer fibrous layer, okay, of the eye, and it is covers the 2/6 part of the eyeball. And in sclera only 1/6 part of the anterior part of the eyeball it is from the cornea. Okay, cornea it is a transparent nature. Okay, sclera it is a tough white skin made of tissue that covers the all the eyeball except the cornea. The white of the eye, whitish part of the eye supports the eyeball and provides the attachments for the muscle, and this sclera only it gives the shape of the eyeball. Okay, this sclera only gives the shape of the eyeball and protects from the eyeball, and it attaches to some muscles, extrinsic muscles. By that we can go for the movements of the eyeball. Okay, sclera only it gives them this fibrous coat. Okay, it covers the outermost covering of the eye, and its sclera it is a 2/6 part of the eyeball, and it is attached to the some muscles, and that provides the movement of the eyeball, and it supports the eyeball in the orbital cavity. And this is white part only, it gives the shape to the eyeball. Okay, can go for the next function of the sclera. Sclera supports the eyeball and provides the attachment for the muscles. Can go for the next slide. Okay, sclera it is a fibrous outer protective coating of the eye, and collagenous formed by the collagenous covered the anterior by the episclera. Okay, this is the fine elastic tissue with numerous blood vessels. Episclera it is present in between the sclera and the conjunctiva. This is the some epi means above or part. Okay, above the sclera. Okay, episclera outermost. Okay, and it fine elastic tissue covers the anteriorly the sclera. Okay, and it contains the numerous blood vessels. Because of that, when you angry or when you go for the any infections or anything, that time you can see the red eye. Okay, it is because of the this episclera. Okay, and it is the thinnest at the insertion site of the rectus muscle. Okay, you can see like this sclera is attached to some muscles, the superior rectus muscle, medial rectus muscle, inferior rectus muscles, inferior oblique muscles. Like that it attaches the extrinsic muscles, and that muscles we do the movements of the eyeball. Okay, in the orbital cavity. Okay, this is about the sclera. Can go for the next slide. You can see here this is covers the 2/6 part of the, this is the 2/6 part of the eyeball. This is the 2/6 part of the eyeball, and it also covers the optic nerve. You can see here this is the, here it you can see the optic nerve. This is also covers the optic nerve. This is a this is a sclera, outermost fibrous layer of the eyeball. Okay, and it is not covers the cornea. You can see this is a cornea, anterior 1/6 part. This is also part of the fibrous coat. Okay, but 2/6 part of the fibrous coat is covered by the sclera, and it also covers the optic nerve. And this is the what, cornea. You can go for the next slide. Cornea. This is a clear lens in front of the eye. Okay, this is transparent transparent covering of the front of the eye, allow for the passage of the light into the eye and function as a fixed the lens. The function of the cornea is allow for the passage of light into the eye, and it is also focus the light. You can see this is the cornea, transparent covering of the front of the eye. Okay, this is white color. See here, this is the white color. Okay, this is transparent covering of the eye. Okay, that behind only a lens is there, or iris. Okay, just behind the cornea you can see is the some aqueous fluid is there, and that behind you can see is the iris. Okay, iris, lens, like that. Okay, the cornea has the following physical characteristics. It is transparent and it is avascular, watch glass like structure. It is a watch, how in watch it has the glass, that same like it is also watch glass like structure. You can see here in this picture. Okay, you can see here this glass. Here you can see here glass. Okay, in this you can see here glass. Okay, it is look like a watch glass like structure, transparent, avascular. Okay, present in front of the eye. Okay, it forms the anterior 1/6 of the outer fibrous coat of the eyeball. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Okay, it has the 5 layers. The cornea has the 5 layers. You can see here, this is the cornea. This is a cornea. Okay, this is a sclera in front of the eye, and it is 1/6 part of the fibrous coating of the outermost covering of the eye, and it is outermost covering of the eye. Okay, and it is have the 5 layers, outer to inwards: epithelium, Bowen's layer, then stroma, supportive structure, Descemet's membrane, and endothelium. Like that, it has the 5 layers. Okay, we can go for the next slide. Okay, this is the diaphragm. You can see here, this is the diaphragm of the camera. See, this is diaphragm of the camera. This diaphragm, it maintains the entrance of light, or by that you can see pictures of the any one objects. This is only maintain the size of the picture. Okay, by that how the diaphragm, it maintain the apparatus of the camera. That same way you can see, that same way it maintain the it work like a iris. Okay, iris also how in the camera diaphragm is work, that same way in the eye the iris work. And pupil, it is a hollow structure, okay, or black hole in the iris, and where light enters. Okay, and pupil size is controlled by the iris, and its iris is a thin circular diaphragm which is located between the lens and cornea. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Okay, what is the iris then? Iris is a colored part of the eye, and it is control the entering of the light. Okay, and it controls the light entering. Okay, and it is located between the lens and cornea. Okay, iris is a thin circular diaphragm which lies between the cornea and the lens of the human eye. The iris is perforated close to its center by circular apparatus known as the pupil, or you can say as a black hole in the iris. In short word, black hole in the iris where light is enters, that is say as a pupil. The pupil size is controlled by the iris muscles. Okay, and the iris is perforated close to its center by a circular apparatus, that is say as a pupil. The function of the iris is to control the amount of light entering through the pupil. The average diameter of the iris is 12 mm and the pupil size can vary from 10 to 80% of the iris diameter. You can go for the next slide. The iris, it is a thin pigmented contractile circular muscle. You can say the iris is one type of the diaphragm. Okay, along goes to the diaphragm of the cornea. The lens on the anterior lens surface surrounded by the aqueous humor. Okay, they extend from the iris root to iris margin that forms the pupil. The free edges is known as a pupillary margins. The separates anterior segment, anterior and posterior chamber, which are the continuous through the pupil. The stroma of iris is continuous with the stroma of ciliary body. The muscles are pupillary sphincter muscle and pupillary dilator muscles. Okay, iris is as a pupillary sphincter muscle and pupillary dilator muscle. Iris is a colored part of the eye. You can see here, this is a colored part of the eye. The color of eye, okay, it is depend on from the color of the iris. It controls the light entrance, and it is work as a parasympathetic stimulator, constricts the pupil, and sympathetic stimulation dilates the pupil. The controls the amount of the light entrance in the eye. It is by the iris. Okay, you can see here in this picture, this is a muscle, this is a lens. Okay, and this is a cornea, and this you can say, but it is circular, it covers the whole the lens. You can give for the one section only. In that you can see this is the iris muscle. You can see this is the iris muscle. Okay, this iris muscle only work as a diaphragm. Okay, and it contraction and relaxation, it maintain the size of the pupil. Okay, the pupil is nothing but maintained by the it is black hole or of the iris. Okay, and it is circularly attached like this. Okay, and it has the two pupillary dilator muscle and pupillary contractor muscle. Okay, and it has the two margins, and pupillary margin, and this is the ciliary margin. And iris is nothing but the attached to the body of the ciliary body. Okay, or ciliary processes. Okay, these are attached to the ciliary processes. Yeah, this is the ciliary body. The iris is located between the lens and the cornea. The iris divides the eyeball into anterior and posterior chamber. Iris has two muscles, one sphincter muscle and dilator muscles. Okay, the sphincter muscles contracts in the high light exposure, and the pupils reduce its diameter, allowing less light to pass. Dilator muscles contract at low light exposure, and the pupil will dilates its diameter. Okay, these are the muscles. You can see here, these are the circular muscle contractor, and this is the pupil. Okay, the radical muscles of the contractor like this. Okay, muscles are there. Okay, and the size of the pupil, it depend on the sphincter muscles and dilator muscles of the iris. Okay, pupil is a black hole in the iris where light enters. The pupil size is controlled by the iris muscle. The function of the pupil is the hole where light enters into the eyeball. Okay, this is about the pupil. It is a black hole. You can see here in center part of the iris, there is one hole like structure is there. That hole structure like structure, black hole like structure, you can say as a, this is in center, you say as a pupil. Okay, we can go for the next slide. when the when the eye needs more light to enter. When it is dark, the pupil get larger, allow the more light to the enter in the eye. You can see here. Okay. And the eyes need less light to enter when it is very bright. Okay. And the pupil get smaller, allow the less light into the eye. You can see here. Okay. Lens is a behind the pupil. Okay, you can see here, this is a lens. Okay, and this is a iris, and this is a ciliary body, and these are the suspensory ligament, and this is a lens, and this part, hole or gap between the two irises. Okay, that gap is say as a pupil, this part is say as a pupil, and just behind the pupil this is a lens. Lens is a highly elastic circular biconvex body lying immediately behind the pupil. It allows us to see the objects near and far. Okay, function of lens is to allow us to see the objects near and far. Okay, now we can go for the ciliary body. Ciliary body is it come under the middle layer, that is vascular layer, and iris also it is come under the vascular layer. Iris, or you can say also say as a UV tract. Okay, in UV tract you can say as the ciliary body, iris and choroid. Okay, it is say as a all three layers you can say as a UV tract. Okay, or uval tract. Okay, ciliary body is a continuous of the choroid, consists of smooth muscle fibers, that is the ciliary muscle, and ciliary muscles or ciliary body also has the ciliary muscles, and it is there are two type of muscles, ciliary muscle, one is longitudinal, one is circular, and it also has a two parts. Ciliary body also has a two parts. Ciliary body also has the two parts, in that pars plana and pars placida. It also has a two parts. Okay, pars placida and pars plana, and in that you can have the muscles, and it also has a stroma, ciliary stroma. Okay, you can go for the next slide. In that all we can explain the what is meant by pars plana, pars placida. Okay, in this you can see the ciliary. This is the ciliary body. This is a part of the vascular part of the eyeball, covering of the eyeball, middle layer in the choroid. Okay, middle layer of the eye, in that it is the ciliary body. This is the ciliary body. Okay, in that you can say as a two muscle. Okay, this is the circular muscle and this is the longitudinal muscle, and these are the projections of the ciliary body. You can say as a ciliary processes. Okay, these are say as a ciliary processes. You can see this is the lens. Okay, this is lens, and this is the iris, like I already explained. Iris, this iris is attached to this ciliary body. Okay, the movements of this ciliary body also controls the movements of the iris also. Okay, and this is the lens. Above the lens you can form the anterior aqueous chamber. You can say as the aqueous chamber. And what is the chamber is present above the iris? They can say as the anterior chamber. And what is the space between the iris and lens? You can that say as a what you can say posterior chamber. Okay, you can say the journals of the suspensory ligament. These suspensory ligaments attach to the processes of the ciliary body. Okay, and these journals or suspensory ligaments that maintain the shape of the lens. Okay, this is about the ciliary body, ciliary processes, muscles. Okay, and the longitudinal muscle, and this is here you can like this can say as a stroma. Stroma means it is a in word name only you can say as a stroma. It is a supportive structure or supportive structure of the eye, which one supports. Okay, stroma, and it has a tissue in that. Can go for the next slide, and that explain everything. Ciliary body is the end of the choroid, okay, and it connects the choroid to the iris circumference. Okay, ciliary body, it is the end of the choroid and it connects the choroid to iris circumference. It has the muscular also and it is vascular, and the whole is a UV tract. You can say as a UV tract in that, or it can say as a middle layer of the eye, in that vascular layer of the eye. In that the ciliary body, iris and choroid will come. Okay, and this ciliary body, it connects the choroid to the iris. Okay, this is the choroid. Okay, this is the choroid and this is the iris. Okay, and this is ciliary body connects the choroid to the iris, and it has a muscular and it is vascular. Function of the ciliary body is aqueous humor production via the non-pigmented epithelium, and control of lens accumulation via the ciliary muscles. Okay, the ciliary body, it is divides into two parts mainly. Okay, one is pars plicata and pars plana. Okay, again pars plicata. Okay, the ciliary body divided into two parts. One is pars plicata and pars plana. This part is where the ciliary process is there, suspensory ligament is there. This part is as a pars plicata, and this part is as a pars plana. It is flattened and posterior. Okay, and pars plicata, it is anterior and it has some processes. That processes as a ciliary processes and attached to some joints that are as a suspensory ligament. Okay, and this ciliary body, it is anterior end of the choroid to the root of the iris. The ciliary body from the anterior end of the choroid to the iris and consists of pars plicata and pars plana, and this pars plicata only attached to the iris. This is the processes of the ciliary body, and this part or marginal part of the ciliary body towards the lens, that only attached to the iris. Okay, and pars plana is, it is a flattened and posterior part. Okay, is corrugated anterior where ciliary processes are arise, and pars plana is flattened and posterior. Ciliary body has three structures. One is muscular structure, another one is stromal structure and epithelial structure. And in muscular structure is two type of muscles. One is longitudinal muscle and one is circular muscles, and another one is radial muscle. And the circular muscle, it is the innermost, longitudinal muscle is outermost, and radial is in between. And stroma it is give the support, or it is the connective tissue. Okay, name only denotes stroma, means it is a supportive structure or connective tissue, and is highly vascularized loose connective tissue. Anteriorly continuous with iris stroma, posteriorly continuous with the choroidal stroma, and it is thin pars plana. Okay, the senior stroma, it is as a thin parts of pars plana. Okay, you can see here. This part is as a pars placenta. Okay, and this part is as a pars plana. Okay, pars plana part is contain the circular, radial and longitudinal muscle, and pars placenta, it contains the ciliary processes, and these are projections. Okay, projection of the ciliary body, that is here the ciliary processes, and this ciliary pars placenta only attached to the iris. This is the iris. Okay, this is attached to the iris, and it is also attachment or give the attachment to the zones of the suspensory ligament. Okay, and this is placenta, it is produces some processes that is called say as the ciliary processes, some attachments that are to the iris and suspensory ligament of the lens. Okay, and it is has the pars plana. It has the muscles circular and longitudinal, and this is a thin, and it is present posterior, and this is present anterior. Okay, and it is continuous with the choroid, pars plana, and this placenta is continuous with the iris muscle, iris, and forms the attachment to the iris processes and the lenses. Okay, like this. Okay, I can say some muscle, ciliary muscles, they are mainly two types. One is circular and longitudinal and radial. This is the meridional fibers. These are circular fibers. You can also say as the longitudinal fibers. Okay, and these are the some processors or projections to the ciliary body. That projections are say as a like this. These projections say as a ciliary processes. You can go for the next slide. It is also same. Okay, you can say here chamber. Okay, this is the iris and this is the lens. Okay, and this portion is say as a posterior chamber, and above the iris and cornea this portion is say as a anterior chamber. You can go for the next slide and see your structures clearly. Circular muscle, longitudinal muscle, ciliary muscles, ciliary processes, and pars plana, pars placenta, stroma. Stroma is connective tissue and high it is vascularized. Okay, connective tissue and high vascularized stroma. It is thin towards the in the pars plana and thick towards the pars placenta, towards the placenta. Okay, you can see here this is a stroma. Okay, this is a say as a stroma, ciliary stroma. Okay, and it is thin towards the pars placenta, pars plana, and it is thick towards the pars placenta, and it is stroma. It is a connective tissue and contain the highly vascularized. You can see here small. These are the vesicular structures, and it is thick towards the pars placenta. You can see it is thick, and it is attached to the iris. You can see it is a pars placenta continuous with the iris, and it is thin towards the pars placenta. You can see the pars placenta, and this is are the circular and longitudinal muscles of the choroid ciliary body. Okay, and it is pars plana continuous with the downwards as a choroid, and is anterior towards the cilia iris, and these are the processes or projections. These are say as a this portion is say as a pars placenta. Okay, and these have the some projections. That projections are say as a ciliary processes, and some the zonal attachments or suspensory ligament. These are attached to the ciliary processes and ciliary body to the lens. We can go for the next slide. Then we can go for the suspensory ligament. These are the ligaments attached to the ciliary body and to the lens. Okay, these are the some suspensory zonal ligaments. Okay, the suspensory ligaments holds the lens in place attached to the ciliary body, which controls the amount of tension exerted on the lens. When the suspensory ligaments are slack, okay, then lens allowed to bulge. You can see here in this picture, when the suspensory ligaments are slack, the lens allowed to bulge. Or muscles of ciliary body are sphincter contracts. Okay, like a sphincter on the button. You can see here in this. Okay, when the suspensory ligaments are pulled tight, that lens will pulled thin, and ciliary muscles will contract or relaxed. Okay, like that. These are the suspensory ligament. These are the suspensory ligament of the eyes. Here it is holds the lens in place, and these ligament attached to the ciliary body. This is the ciliary body. You can go for the next slide. It is a choroid. Okay, this is also middle layer of the middle layer of the eye, and it is present in between the sclera and retina. Okay, and it is a vascularized layer of the eye. Okay, choroid is a thin pigmented membrane, dark brown in color, which situated in between the sclera and retina. Okay, sclera is outer, retina is inner. Okay, this layer you can see here in this layer. This is outer white, it is a sclera, and this is a retina, and this is a choroid. Okay, you can see here. Okay, it is also covers the optic nerve. Some part is also covers the little bit covers the optic nerve. The is located inferior to the sclera and superior to the retina. Dark brown tissue, highly vascularized. It provides the retina with nutrition and oxygen. The choroids prevent the scattered light from the reaching the retina. Retina, it is the innermost layer and nervous layer of the eyeball. Okay, and retina is the innermost tunica of the eyeball. Thin, delicate, transparent membrane. Highly developed tissue of the eye appears purplish red. You can see here, this is the innermost layer of the eyeball. Okay, and this is the delicate transparent membrane, highly developed tissue of the eye. Okay, here only optic nerve and optic artery, blood supply. Okay, and it also has the blind spot or optic disc, fovea, macula, like that structures are there. Here only images will put give. Okay, can see here the retina. This is what you can say, what you can see in purplish red color. Okay, purplish red, what you can say, purplish red color, that is a retina. It is also has the some optic disc, fovea and macula like structures. It is the innermost layer of the eye, and it is have the vitreous chamber. What is the chamber or portion or is there below the lens to the retina? That whole part you say as a vitreous chamber. Okay, the portion in between the retina and lens, it is that portion is say as a vitreous chamber, and it contains the vitreous fluid. Okay, and there you can see here it is a optic disc will come. Okay, the optic disc means this is the area in the retina where retinal ganglion cells exist to eye to form the optic nerve. It is also say as a blind spot. Okay, optic disc. Okay, this is the area in the where retinal ganglion cells exist to form a optic nerve. Okay, this area is say as a what, optic disc. Okay, this area means this is a area in the retina where the retinal ganglion cells exist the eye to form the optic nerve. Okay, then we can go for the fovea. Fovea means the fovea is a small central pit composed of closely packed cones in the eye. Okay, the fovea, it is a centralized small pit. Okay, a small pit, central pit composed of closely packed cones in the eye. The mucosa or macula, okay, it is also is there. Okay, it is a oval shaped pigmented area near the fovea. Okay, oval shaped pigmented area near the fovea. A number of eye problems can affect the fovea and can lead to vision loss. If they are not treated, the fovea is related to go for the eye blindness. Okay, and macula, you can see here round structure. This is a macula. The macula, it is a central area of the retina. Okay, and macula is the functional center of the retina. Okay, in this only we can see as a fovea. Okay, fovea also the centralized part of the retina macula, and it is say, and this fovea is a tiny pit located in the macula. okay, and it contains the retina that provides the clearest vision to all. Okay, if this is fovea diseases or any injury to this disease you cannot treat it properly, then you can go for the loss of vision. Okay, and macula, it is a functional part of the retina. And macula, it is a oval shaped pigmented area near the center of the retina of the human eyes. And some other animals eyes also it has a macula, but their diameter is more than the 5 mm. Okay, and this macula central part is have one pit, that is a fovea. The retina is the paper thin tissue that lies in the back of the eye. Okay, and it is the innermost layer of the eye, and it contains the photoreceptors or light sensing cells and rods and cones that send visual signals to the brain. In that, the small pit is there or depression in that the macula, that is seen as a fovea. Okay, fovea. And macula, it is a portion of eye that is center of the retina that processes the sharp, clear and straight ahead visions. Okay, and it is a macula, it is a functional unit of the retina. You can go for the next slide. Okay, you can go for the chambers. In that, eye has two chambers is mainly. One is anterior, three chambers in there. One is vitreous chamber, anterior chamber and posterior chamber. You can divide as a mainly two. One is above the lens, one is below the lens. Okay, or anterior to the lens, or one is posterior to the lens. Okay, in anterior to the lens, that is say as a aqueous chamber, and what is below the lens, that is say as a vitreous chamber. So in aqueous chamber is further divided into anterior chamber and posterior chamber. Okay, you can see here, this is a lens. Okay, anterior to the lens you can say as a anterior aqueous chamber. Aqueous chamber further divides into the anterior chamber and posterior chambers by the irises. Okay, what are the part present chamber anterior to the iris or above the iris, that is as anterior chamber, and below the iris is a posterior chamber, and this is filled with the aqueous fluid. Okay, or aqueous humorous. And what is the vitreous chamber is filled with the vitreous humor, and the aqueous humor is formed by the ciliary body or ciliary processes. Okay, you can go for the next slide. The vitreous humor, okay, or vitreous body is a colorless transparent jelly like substance which fills the posterior segment of the eye, that is behind the lens. Okay, it is enclosed in a delicate hyaloid membrane. The function of this is it helps to preserve the spherical shape of the eyeball and support the retina. Okay, anterior chamber, the cavity in front of part of the eye between the iris and cornea is called as the anterior chamber. It is filled with the aqueous, a water-like fluid. This fluid is produced by the ciliary processes. Okay, the posterior chamber is the fluid-filled space immediately behind the iris but in front of the lens. Okay, and this is also filled with the aqueous humor. Okay, the aqueous humor, it is a clear colorless fluid that fill the anterior and posterior chamber of the eye. Okay, aqueous humor is a clear fluid-filled space between the cornea and lens. It is secreted by the ciliary capillaries, of the ciliary processes. From ciliary processes, it fluid reaches the anterior chamber, which finally reaches to the canal of the sclene. First is produce the ciliary processes, then posterior chamber, the pupil, it enters the anterior chamber, and it is reaches the slim canal. What is the aqueous humor? It is 99.9% is water, 1% of proteins, glucose and electrolytes and cellular debris. Function of the aqueous humor is bringing oxygen to the cells, clear medium, maintain intraocular pressure, helps to fight infections. The aqueous humor, how it is released or how it is formed. Okay, this is it is formed by the here ciliary processes to the posterior chamber by pupil area to the it enters the anterior chamber to the it enters the scleral venous sinus. Okay, like that it is rotate. Then blood supply. The arterial blood supply is supplied by the branches of the ophthalmic artery, ciliary artery and ciliary artery. Venous drainage by numerous veins including the central vein, retinal vein. Okay, you can see here in this is the ophthalmic artery. Ophthalmic artery gives the branches to the central retinal artery, and lacrimal artery, long posterior ciliary artery, short posterior ciliary artery. Like that it gives the blood supply to the eyeball. Then supraorbital artery, supratrochlear artery. Like that you give the blood supply to the eyeball. Okay, it is mainly by the it is a ophthalmic artery. A venous drainage mainly by the central retinal vein or by the cavernous sinus. Okay, and his eyeball is drained by the superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, infraorbital vein, then angular vein, inferior ophthalmic veins and supraorbital, and centrally it is drained into the cavernous vein and optical, lastly optical vein. And nerve supply, it is by the optic nerve. Okay, sorry, here I am briefly explain the visual pathway of the eye. Okay, in visual pathway of the eye it's also include the anterior pathway and posterior pathway. This pathway also you can view as a anterior pathway and posterior pathway also, like that we can divide also. There are some structures you can know. First, here you can see the eyeball. Okay, especially retina. Okay, in that cones, bipolar neurons, rods, cones, everything there. Then ganglions. Okay, ganglions cells, axon from the optic nerve. Then optic nerve to the optic chiasma. Then optic chiasma to the optical tract. Okay, and then from tract, lateral geniculate nuclei of the thalamus and optic radiation and primary visualized area of the occipital lobe. You can see here in this I briefly explain. Okay, this is a eye. Okay, here only cones, rods and bipolar neurons are forms. Okay, from their axons, ganglion cells, axons to forms the optic nerve, and these optics now cross each other. Okay, here and here also crossing, here the crossing point is say as a optic chiasma. Here also some parts or some axons or some nerves are axons are crosses or some are not crosses, and from this optic chiasma there is this is say as a optic tract. Okay, this is say as a optic tract, and this portion you can say it is in the thalamus. This portion is say as a lateral geniculate nuclei of the thalamus. From here you can see some radiations. These radiations are say as a optic radiation, and from this optic radiation at the occipital lobe there is a primary visualized area. From here only you can understand what is the picture is there, what is there you can understand here. This is a primary visualized area of the occipital lobe. This is the track or visual pathway of the you can say as a visual pathway of the any of the eye. Okay, or any sensory sensation of the eye or nerve system. Okay, here left visual field and here it is right visual field. Okay, right it is come here, it is not crosses. You can see here it is not crossing, okay, directly, and some fibers are here. You can see the left visual field, okay, this is crossing, okay. You can see here some fibers are crossing and some are not. Where the optic nerve is crossing, this is as a what, optic chiasma, okay. Optic nerve is one of the cranial nerve of the brain, okay. In that we can divide as a this track is divided into anterior and posterior track, and the anterior visual pathway refers to structure involved in vision before the what you can say as a lateral geniculate nucleus. And what are the structures present posterior to the lateral geniculate visual pathway, that is as a posterior visual pathway, is refers to structures after this point, okay. And in that optic radiation and primary visual area, everything is involved, okay. First you can see in the eye there is some cones and what you can say rods. We can see rods and cones are differs the functions. The rods are found primarily in the periphery of the retina, are used to be seen at the low levels of light, and cones are found primarily in the center of the retina, okay. And in their bipolar cells also there. In the retina, the photoreceptor snaps directly into bipolar cells, which in turn snaps on into the ganglion cells, and that outermost layer which will then conduct the action of potential to the brain, and these ganglions and axons are unite and to form the optic nerve, okay. Then optic nerve to form the crosses, there is optic chiasma, and that form to optic tract, and that to lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus. Like that with visual pathway is formed, okay. Thank you very much. Applied anatomy, it is very rich by this anatomy of the eye. On the eye only one branch is there, that branch is as ophthalmology, okay. The huge topic, okay. I am explained very briefly anatomy of the eye, okay. Thank you very much.